me wanting to quit my job, but I didn't just quit. And I was making about 35, 40K at my job. We were still struggling. So it's like, how can I have this conversation about me coming off my job when we desperately need this income? And when I went to my wife, she surprisingly said, I really feel that this is your gift. So let's plan it out and, develop this self-discipline of saving and paying bills off.
Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. So there's this odd narrative in the producer community going on right now, that you can actually pay for major placements, and you're seeing a lot of producers getting scammed. Mm-hmm. Paying $300 here, $700. I don't know if you've seen that.
That's the craziest thing.
And when we have these conversations where we just will flat out say, no, that's not how it is, there's always this pushback. I don't know from whom, honestly. It's nobody that I know saying, no, I've been in the industry. People are definitely paying for placements. Is there any truth to that from what you've seen?
There is no truth to that, man. I mean, to be honest with you, not only the industry, but life in general, nothing is guaranteed. I don't care what industry you're in, nothing is guaranteed. So, with me being in the music industry, like I think just producers just need to be smarter. But the good thing about it is I think that a lot of producers, all they need to do is just do their research. If if a person is telling you that and you research them, you Google them, and whatever type of credibility that they have, you can prove if it's correct or not. So I think I just think the producers need to do more research and just stop letting people tell them anything. I get it. I get it, because there was times early on before my big placements that, it was certain A&Rs was like, yo, but they wasn't guaranteeing placements. It was basically like, yo, if you pay me $300, and these were like some A&Rs, pay me $300 and I'll make sure I'm going to the studio with this individual. I'll play records and I'll provide you with critique or whatever, and I did that a couple of times. with the, and nothing came out of it, obviously. But, so I understand just being, just being anxious, just being anxious. And, but it's like, you just have to really just step back from it and have patience. But not only that, make sure that you're just researching whoever's telling you that, so you can validate whatever they're saying. And even if you validate their credentials, there's still not a guarantee that they can give you on getting you a placement, because that's out of their hands. It's like that's unheard of. Yeah,
I've definitely had placements get kind of snatched out from under me. I'm sure you've had that happen.
Oh man, so many, bro. Yep, no guarantees.
Yeah, up until the point where the album comes out and you still think you're on it, and then you look at it. And
oh man, I've literally signed paperwork for albums or for songs on albums, and 2 weeks later it'd be pulled from the album.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Yeah, it's a tragic it's a tragic business. So back to the book, Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute. It's a memoir.
Yes.
That you've written, and this is the era of producers putting out PDF guides and video courses and mentorship programs, which this is plug for musicentrepreneurclub.com. But what made you decide to go the memoir route and actually write about your life beyond just your music career?
It was, my two options were, do I want to write an autobiography or do I want to write a memoir? And, an autobiography covers someone's entire life. But a memoir only focuses on like specific moments of someone's life. So I felt that was just more interesting, to where I could pull certain experiences and certain moments and talk about those and basically trim the fat from my life, and yeah, the reason for doing that, man, during that 14 years that I was talking about, of getting to that life-changing moment, the one thing that I used to do to keep me inspired on that quest, to that life-changing moment, was read other people's stories. Like, I used to love getting the scratch magazines just to read the producers that was in there and see how they got their placement or what they were going through prior. And that used to give me hope, so once I was blessed to accomplish so much, it's like, why not use my experiences and tell these stories so that people can be inspired and have hope? Because one thing, people think that they'll see like all my discography or my placements, but they don't know that even now, before getting to that placement, like, I still have 10, 12, 15 losses before getting to that placement or to that win, so I wanted people to see the process getting to that achievement. The book was not about the achievements. It's about the process of what I had to overcome to get to that success. So I wanted to make sure that I could highlight that and show and display that for the people that's reading.
Do you mind if I ask some questions submitted by some of the viewers?
Absolutely.
The first one is from Obi-Wan. He says, what do you think about a business idea that's like BeatStars, but for independent artists, acapellas? That way producers can release their own music without the artist being the lead on everything. Let the producers control things for once, and then the artists can make money on their vocals too.
I'm trying to understand it.
So it sounds like you're licensing, as a recording artist, you're licensing acapellas the same way a producer would license beats.
So is that like a kind of like DJ pools, how they have instrumentals and acapellas?
I guess it sounds to me that he's saying it would be for the purpose of producers licensing the acapellas, turning them into songs, and then selling those songs.
Okay. I've never heard of it, so I think it would be a great idea, because there's there's no competition in that I've never heard of that. So it's an open lane to be able to create that platform, and yeah, definitely you can benefit from that. That's actually a great idea, because I've never seen it or heard of that.
Well, now the idea is out there.
Yeah, Chris, before someone snatches that.
Oh, I didn't hit the panic button in time. Sorry to hear me cough.
I can't hear you, Payne.
Yes, so when the button doesn't work, I want it to. When it does work, I don't want it to work. Chris Bombay asks, is there anywhere specific you want your production to go creatively? Anyone you'd like to collaborate with?
Right now, I'm just trying to find, when you go in the lab, like I've been going in the lab every day for I do 2 or 3 hours, because the book stuff is kind of getting in the way, but I'm I committed myself to getting in the lab and doing something for 2 or 3 hours. So now I'm just in that space to where I'm trying to find what it should be. I have some really dope records that's about to come out with some people. Hopefully, prayerfully, I'm just say that we just had this conversation about no guarantee. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm still trying to creatively find what I want to do next, and I'm always collaborating with people like my team, of course, and just, if I come across something that's dope, it's a collaborative world. So I'm all about the song over it just being about me or what I create. I'm all about just what's the best thing that we can create as a team.
We have a question coming from Angel Ray. She asks, what was it about music that you knew it was going to be your career, and did you have a backup plan?
The reason I knew music was going to be what I pursued was because no one had to make me do it. I really had a passion for it. And I was always trying to find ways to be a part of it. And, early on creating my group. And even when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do after I graduated high school, I wound up just enrolling in a audio engineering program at my local at a local 2-year school back where I'm from in Waco, just to be closer to music and learn more. So I was always wanting to learn more, and nobody had to make me want to learn and grow and elevate within it. So at that moment, I knew that it was something I wanted to do. And I really didn't have a backup plan. At that moment, I didn't have a backup plan. It was just like, how can I go all in to make this work? And of course it took years, but in the year of 2008, that's when I stepped out from my corporate job, because I was like, I have to make this work. So let me just go all in. And yeah, it worked out. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of that 2 years was a lot of tough times and trying times, but I knew that at some point that something was gonna happen, but it was just a matter of just me shoveling my way through those tough times to get to that moment, and but yeah, and just to validate my passion for it, me quitting my job was my validation of my love for it, because it's like, I'm willing to take this type of risk because I feel something, with this gift that I have.
And at that point, you were married with children, right?
Yes.
So how did that
What
work?
added the extra pressure?
Yeah. So what kind of conversation was it? I mean, a lot of people are going through that. So what kind of advice would you give people who are in that situation? Because I know a couple of like Angel Ray, who asked the question. I know she's married with kids. Many others are. What kind of advice would you give those producers?
Well, it's tough. I think, and I actually have a chapter in my book called Wifey's Magic Wand, where I talk about this whole situation of me wanting to quit my job, but I didn't just quit. It wasn't just like, okay, I want to quit my job the next day. Yo, I'm not coming back no more. It was me having a conversation with my wife. And when I had this conversation, this was one of the hardest conversations I would have to have with her. But when I had this conversation, instead of me getting, we need this money, because we were struggling, and I was making about 35, 40K at my job, and we were still struggling. So it's like, how can I have this conversation about me coming off my job when we desperately need this income? And when I went to my wife, she surprisingly said, I really feel that this is your gift and what you should be doing too, full time. So let's plan it out so that you can come off your job. So we took 10 months to a year to really sacrifice and, develop this self-discipline of saving and paying bills off and doing away with things that we love, like cable. We cut our cable off, and, we start buying all this ground meat we cut out going out to eat and all these things that we love to do, because we wanted to sacrifice that because we knew that this is what I wanted to do. And 10 months later, I wound up leaving the job. And at that point, it was, I have to go all in, because not only is this decision that I just made affecting me, but it's affecting 3 other people as well. My wife and my 2 boys. So at that point, it was really like, okay, I have to make this work now, because not only do I believe this work, they're believing in me too. So that's when the focus got real and the self-discipline, and I started to treat it as a business.
What would you say the biggest change was that you implemented when you made that choice to treat it as a business? Because you hear that a lot. People say you got to treat it as a business if you wanted to pay as a business. In practical terms, what did that mean?
It meant that every day I had to focus on not only the creative end, but also like the business ends. For instance, I had everything kind of figured out as for like at that time that I quit my job, I had kind of built my name up in the underground to where I was selling beats to independent artists and things, $200 here or $400 here, so I knew that, okay, I need to sell at least four beats this month to be able to contribute to, rent or whatever, so it became like like no different than working in sales. You have a quota and, you do whatever it takes you make sure you're getting your batches out every week and doing your follow-ups every week, with certain people. And yeah, it just became a routine thing of pitching sales, but it was with my beats.
So Justin asks, actually, I don't fully understand this question. Maybe you do. Have you worked on any on the new audio shows?
Audio shows?
I don't know if it's like a podcast format. I'm not sure. Justin, we need more clarity. Okay, next question is from Bufo on the Beat. He says, what are some things that changed when your focus started to shift from just making music to building a brand?
Oh, everything shifted. It really just was like, so it really became just my whole brand started to shift, man. I really feel that everything that I was doing at that point was putting me in alignment with where I was supposed to be. There's so many different things that we can. Let me see how I want to say this. So for instance, let me just back up a little bit. So I really feel like building a brand, you have to be able to like align yourself with your purpose. Once I figured out that my purpose was to inspire and impact and encourage and motivate, like everything per my brand had to align with that, and that was really the changing point for me is, book, okay, does it inspire whatever creatively? Does it impact? Does it, am I able to encourage musically, speaking events, things like this, podcasts, and like, am I put in a position to where I can, plant that seed in someone's mind that's going to change their course of action, so that's really like, once I figured that out for my brand, everything began to shift and align, because it's like, okay, now I know the direction of where I'm trying to go. And that changed everything for me, because now everything makes sense. It's not me just doing things just to do it. It's like, okay, this is the intent and this is the purpose behind it. And yeah, changed everything for me.
So, okay, Justin clarified. He says it's like a podcast, but with known actors, kind of like a TV show without video. So it sounds like a new format.
Okay, I'm unfamiliar.
But I'm sure that's an opportunity for producers to license music.
Sounds like it could be.
All right, Chris. I think that Chris is up next with his question. Chris Bombay wants to know if you have a favorite track that you've produced.
I would say right now, probably the Kirk Franklin joint. When Kirk first approached me with that song, like, and he was saying what I want to work on it, he played it for me, and I already knew. I'm like, yo, this is special. It gave me chills, just him singing it to me before it was even produced out, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, yeah. And I remember when we were at the studio working on it, and we got it to a certain point, and I just knew it. I was like, yo, this is gonna impact people, and this is this is definitely Grammy worthy. You know, so when we won for the album, it just was clarification that my feelings were correct. You know, on when we first initially had the idea of doing that record.
What's the name of the song for the people who want to check that
It's
out?
called Strong God, and it's on Kirk's latest album, Long Live Love.
Tom C. asked, before the digital audio workstation explosion, what was your tool of choice, or your tool in terms of, budget for sequencing, chopping, and arranging beats?
That's a good one. So I was, prior to me going, like, my first piece of software was Reason, I think Reason 3. Prior to that, I was just using, I had a Yamaha Motif and I had a Roland Phantom. So I was sequencing, I was sequencing on the Motif and using the Phantom as sounds. And then I had a, I don't know if y'all even know about this, but it was an Akai S20 phrase sampler. And I would sample in that and then trigger that with the Motif. You know, so it's like this little box, and it had, the buttons were hard. You know, like the MPC 2000 has the soft pads. These were like really hard buttons. You know, so I was using that to trigger sounds from and sample within that, and then using the Motif as a controller, but also using sounds from the Motif as well.
Damn, no wonder you had to cancel cable, because the Motif, and I had the Motif, and that was expensive. But when the excuse me, when the Phantom came out, I mean, there's a reason it's called a Phantom, and a really expensive car has the same name.
Yeah. I won that Phantom on that beat battle that I won in Miami.
Oh, that was that's an amazing prize.
Yeah, that was the grand prize, man. I won that Roland Phantom.
Yeah, because that was like, I think when it came out, that was like 3,000.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I knew one person with one, and I was just jealous because he never really did much with it. Next question is from Levi Beats. He says, do you feel as a producer you should stick to creating the music that you love, what you're passionate about, and what inspires you, or create stuff that fits the current market?
Oh, that's actually a great question. It depends on the individual, man. I can't just say this is the way you have to do it. Me personally, I always try to, so when I create, my whole mindset is, how can I always be me? You know, I'm a hip hop guy foundation wise, but I love all types of music. So it's like, how can I be me? But at the same time, I really feel that if I want to have a career like I've had, like, I have to still be relevant. You know, so it's like, how can I be me, but also contain elements of the now to still make it irrelevant? You know, and that's a hard thing sometimes, because sometimes being me overrides a lot of the newness, you know, so I have to really kind of, it's all trial and error, but I have to really try to figure out how can I please myself, but also please, you know, the consumers, you know, or the people that the people that's actually going to be buying these beats from me, you know. So that's always the goal, but I love it though. I love it. I think that it's always almost approach it like it's a game, like just trying to figure out little things and little techniques of how I can, you know, do what I love, but incorporate, you know, certain elements that makes it now.
Bufo asks if you've ever felt restricted. This is kind of a related question. If you ever felt restricted by the expectations of labels, fans, or artists, and if so, how did you get over that?
Yeah, all the time. Like, there was a point in my career to where I felt like I was having to, you know, really not put me in records, you know, and it got to a point to where it wasn't fun anymore. And I had to find out a way to get back to having fun, because if you're not having fun creating, it's going to show in the records. You know, when you get back to a fun space, it's like, yo, this is fun. Like, I'm actually being creative able to do certain things and apply certain things, like it's going to come off in the record. So yeah, absolutely. There's been many a times where I had certain restrictions and limitations creatively that, that really made me not be as, um, yeah, just really just not where I'm not as into the records that I was creating. So you have to find that happy space of being able to have that inspiration to be able to create something special. And with me, it was always like special records that people would gravitate towards, as opposed to the things that I'm trying to copy or you know or having these restrictions or limitations.
Here's a question from DJ Matt Perry. He says, what are some characteristics you've seen among successful producers? Any kind of commonalities associated with their energies?
Oh, that's a good question as well. Man, everyone, of course they work hard. I feel like every successful producer that I know, there's a certain level of self-discipline that they have, and then also there's a certain amount of, being able to maximize their time, their opportunities, and have a great team. All of them have a great team around them that they can actually be a machine, and it's not just them doing all the work. And because of that, having a great team allows you to maximize a lot of the opportunities that start coming your way when things start to pop off for you.
So okay, we Damon, the other guy from Music Entrepreneur Club, we're always having a debate about a team. Mostly it's a kind of a semantic debate, but what do you mean by a team, especially as it relates to a producer? What kind of people would you say a producer needs around them? When should they need a team? What does that look like?
Well, when I say a team, it's just other like-minded individuals that you have great chemistry with, that you get along with, that you can feed off each other's energy. And like, for instance, me building a team, it's like, okay, when things started to really happen for me, I was getting meetings and people were pulling me on projects. It's like, okay, I'm only one person. I can't physically take advantage of all this. So it's like, okay, I need people that I can trust creatively to be able to help me assist me with a lot of these things. So, I was signing producers who were not only talented, but just good people, just really had the integrity and had certain values, so I was signing these individuals, and it's like, okay, now at that point, because I have certain people around me and that are stronger than me in certain areas too. So that was making me better, because it's like, okay, this person is really good at this. I may not be that good at that. So at that point, it's like projects that I was getting, it's like, okay, now I don't really have to be overseeing the whole record, because like I was saying earlier, it's not just about me. It's about how can we maximize all these opportunities. So I can go in the studio and just create ideas. Yo, finish this. And then I'm getting ideas from them, and it's like, okay, I like this idea. Let me finish this. So it's so much more getting done. And at that point, I become like this machine and become being productive, and being able to maximize getting on all these projects, because it's not just me stressing out and being overwhelmed with having to try to get on these projects. I have people around me that I can trust their ears creatively, and to get to see it all the way through the process. So that was super important for a lot of my longevity. It's just having the key people around me that can be able to assist me with certain things.
So Justin asked, and then Big Shot Beats, I just want to shout him out because he asked a question about what you did to keep sales coming in when you reached the point where you quit your job. But I think he tuned in late, and you did have a conversation about, I don't know if you want to add anything to what you already mentioned as far as having some kind of system in place to prepare for that transition.
Well, I mean, it was one of them things where it was up and down, just like now. Only thing I'm just, of course, the level is different now, but it's still up and down. That doesn't change. So there were good months to where I would have, sell over my quota, but then there was some months that it was like, yeah, this did I make the right decision? So it was just me pushing through those moments, and um, yeah, it wasn't anything specific. It's just like, how can I make money? I remember I would mix records for people. I would, so it wasn't just selling beats. It was like, how can I provide a service to be able to make some type of income from it? So I was trying a little bit of everything just to keep money coming in.
Justin asks, how did your plan compare and change over time to what you were actually able to accomplish?
Say that once more.
He said, how did your plan, I guess, how did your plan change over time? And how did it compare? How did your original plan compare to what you were able to accomplish?
I think it was just me just learning certain things. Um, One thing that I learned early on is the power of planting seeds and always taking action. And this came like midway during my career of starting to see success and get a lot of placements. And I'm the type of person, I like to analyze certain things. So I started to step back and be like, okay, how did, what was the thing that, what was the common denominator that existed in all these things that I got? And that's actually how I came up with the title of the book, Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute, because those were the four things that was present in all of those situations. It was always me just having gratitude or just saying a prayer. It was always me focusing, being able to eliminate a lot of distractions. Because those distractions were pulling me away from, really honing in on certain things that I was trying to achieve. And then planning. I always say planning is like writing your life's map. Like our dreams are our destination. And that plan is the directions to get to that destination. So I was always writing things down, whether it was to-dos, tasks, goals, whatever, and then execution, which is one of the most important, because it's like, okay, I can have this plan or this dream or vision, but if there's no action behind it, then it just always remains an idea in my head or a dream or just a plan, so once I figured that out, I was off to the races, man. And I started to consistently practice these things. And man, things just continued to happen. And that was kind of like my personal formula on things. Like I say, when I stepped back and looked at every situation, it's like these four things were present.
Well, shout out to Rich Daly. He just bought the book. Shout out to Big Shot. He says
Hey,
he's adding it to his collection.
appreciate that.
Oh, here's a quick question. I'm going to ask two more questions aside from this, and then
Okay.
going to try to respect your time as best as I can. But thank you for asking these user submitted questions. Bufo just wants to know what headphones you use in the studio.
Man, I used the Audio Technica, I think the 50, dang, I forgot the model, 50 something. But yeah, those are the headphones I use.
Then Angel wants to know how you navigated social situations and discerned between the people that were for you and those who were against you in the industry.
Ooh, that's a really good question. Everything was really off of feeling with me. You never know. Well, I'll say it like this. So early on, because I was in a different mindset, like I was really just trying to work with any and everybody, just for discography purposes, resume. I was just working with anybody. But then as time progressed and I became more comfortable, financially and in my career, I was able to be more selective. that just goes with just my personality, and you know, nothing, not to knock any other people or rappers, but there's been situations to where I had certain sessions with rappers that were huge and I didn't know about that I didn't really know about at the time, and then I would go to their social media prior to my session and look at their social media, and then I see these pictures that's kind of against where I'm at, whether they got guns, holding guns on the Instagram page and things like that. And I'm like, I'd rather just send beats. So I'd cancel sessions, based on just how I felt and how our spirits connected, so I base a lot of things off of that, just how I feel in the moment, or, because the energy is strong. You can tell if someone is authentic to where you're at or not. But it's just a matter of if I'm going to be truthful to that, and like I say, not to knock anybody, it's just I have to go with what I'm comfortable with, so yeah, it's the case by case scenario, but I usually just go off the energy of the individual.
That's probably why we've never had a session. I got to stop posting these gun selfies. Tom C has a question. I think this will be the last question. He wants to know when you started to realize the characteristics of your own style and sound that was unique to your own productions, and how did you maximize that as an asset of your brand?
Man, well, when I first started, like Strange Fruit Project, it was like these soulful, I was the producer that really influenced me was Jay Dilla, Pete Rock, Primo. So a lot of my early stuff, like with the Strange Fruit Project, was, kind of imitation of that, or trying to imitate that in a sense. But then I knew that at some point I could deliver more than just that sound, so when the power situation happened, that really felt special. And I was like, okay, there's something about this that I love. And I really started to, so if you listen to like Murder to Excellence, it's kind of powerish. If you listen to The Game's Blood Diamonds, or, I was kind of in this vocal chant, but add like some musicianship around it. That's kind of was the thing that kind of started everything for me personally. And that was really my formula when I was sitting down to do stuff. It's like, okay, I have to have a vocal chant and I have to have progressions going around this and bring it out. And if you listen to those records, you'll kind of see the similar focus of what it was. And it felt special to me. So that's why I went with that particular sound.
Well, once again, thank you so much for your time. I know we went a couple of minutes over. How do people find you on social media? How do people go get that book?
Yeah, so follow me. All my socials is at SymbolicOne. That's SYMBOLYCONE. So you can follow me on all socials. And then my book, Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute. You can get the physicals on my site, symbolicone.com. Or like I say, you can go to Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Nobles, and get the ebook if you want that. And then my audiobook, which I narrated, will be out in the next few weeks as well. And my good friend Ron Fest, he narrated my About the Author. And then I also have some composition and like unreleased beats and stuff on the audiobook as well, just to add a little bit more value to it. But yeah, like I say, Pray, Focus, Plan, Execute, a memoir by S1. And when you get this book, you're basically going to get 21 chapters. So I wrote 21 chapters, and every chapter is basically a story. Whether it's about like when I first started to pursue music, how the Beyonce situation came about, how I wound up working with Kanye, or ended up working with Gladys Knight, or in this room with Madonna. Like, all these are stories. Each chapter is a story. And yeah, I really go into detail, and I wanted to bring the reader I wanted the reader to see exactly what I was seeing and feeling in these moments. So I really go in on how I was feeling, what I was going through, my insecurities, fears, doubts, in certain moments. Like I really touch on that because I wanted people to see what I had to overcome during the process of getting to that achievement or success. So yeah, I think you guys are really, and it's not just for the producer as well. Although my story is production based, like I think the principles of the book, or they stretch between career or whatever your lifestyle or whatever you're trying to pursue. I think it's straight across the board. Just principle is the really the key thing of the book. So yeah, excited about it, man. The feedback has been really good.
Yeah, well, congratulations on not only the recent Grammy win, but also the release of this new book. That's something I have not read producer memoirs before.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Yeah, I've heard a few people say that as well. So yeah, I think like I said, I think it'll be good. Oh, and then also just to add on, like after every chapter, I have a section called a reflective moment. And this is like a section to where I kind of give my insight on the story that I just told and my bird's eye view of the situation and kind of connect the message to the experience of the story.
Well, once again, appreciate you. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Hope to see you at future sessions. Just sign up at musicentrepreneurclub.com. Appreciate you, S1.
Man, appreciate you, Penny.
Much continued success. Always, always.
Appreciate it, bro.